Welcome back, Michelle. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you. On today's episode, we are going to talk about something that I think people care about. Does your partner steal the blankets?
Mm.
Are they the human space heater while you're freezing? What if the secret to saving your marriage or your relationship and your sleep is something that the Scandinavians have been doing for decades?
Welcome back, Sleep Takeout. I'm Dr. Daniel Baughn alongside Dr. Michelle Zetoony, and today we are talking about the Scandinavian Sleep Method. But first, before we dive into that, a quick reminder about our brand new Sleep Takeout coloring book that is dropping soon. It has dedicated structured worry pages to help you dump that nighttime anxiety onto paper instead of staring at the ceiling. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Should be coming out in May 2026. We're so excited. So, all right. Well, Michelle, maybe tell us a little bit more about this Scandinavian sleep method versus sleep divorce. Like, what are these things?
So it's been a trend over the last year and a half or so that specifically actors and actresses are popularizing, and also TikTok is popularizing the sleep divorce, implying that some person needs to sleep in a separate bedroom or a separate house or a separate section of their home rather than the Scandinavian method, which is really implying sleeping in the same room but using different duvet covers, mattress covers. We talked about the chili pad and some of these other kind of cooling devices. And it's really talking about the bodies need to be cooler to sleep better. And when one partner sleeps hot and the other one sleeps cold, or one person sleeps cold and the other one sleeps colder, thermoregulation is a big portion of improving sleep quality. So, in most of our stages of sleep, particularly the non-REM sleep, we are able to control our body temperatures, and it's called thermoregulating. And that's important. But during our deepest sleep, our REM sleep, where our body is the most paralyzed and the most relaxed while our brain is pretty active, processing all the things that it needs to process, during REM sleep, that thermoregulatory center is actually out of commission. It's on sabbatical, trying to help compartmentalize other things that are going on in the brain. And so, if your body temperature is too warm at that point, or for that matter, if it's too cold, it will wake you up as a self-preservation effect. And so you really want your body to be in a good spot most of the night, not too hot, not too cold, so that it can get through all those stages of sleep, and particularly the holy grail of sleep is this REM sleep. And it's important because in addition to the improvement in terms of your sleep quality, if you don't get that type of stuff, hormone regulation happens. It's different. We talked on previous episodes about cortisol, and we talked about blood sugar. And if your blood sugar, for example, goes too low during the night, you will wake up with that intense hunger, that intense urge to eat, or it will drive your natural cortisol up in order to provide that extra blood sugar boost. And so one thing like dominoes leads to something else. And now all of a sudden we're up. Depending on that, how strong that urge was, is going to determine how much our body goes into that fight or flight with the adrenaline. And that makes it much more difficult to fall asleep at night. And, in the meantime, we're sitting there like, oh, it's just my thoughts, when our body has already been struggling with something for quite a while. So when you have a different, whether it's your personal pajamas that you're wearing or that different mattress cover or, a fan on your side of the bed, for example, when you have that as being separate, that means that you're owning to what is working for your body. And it is a little bit of trial and error. It's going to vary depending on where you are, especially again, hormone side or what you did that day. And so it's important for you to have that control. Sleep divorce implies kind of this negativity, if I cared more about my relationship or my bed partner, then I would make some concessions so that they can sleep better. Often that's not going to work out so well. There's some resentment. You wake up in the morning, you say, you know what, I didn't sleep well because of this person's this or that. But I think the Scandinavian method really puts back in that psychological component that maybe Dan, you can talk to, of that it's not a bad person. You're just owning to more what works for your body. What do you think?
Yeah, well, no, I completely agree with it, and I think it's an important thing to kinda to distinctly separate what sleep divorce is and the Scandinavian method is. Sleep divorce is parting rooms, like, entirely, like, essentially sleeping in another room. Scandinavian method is really understanding that you might have a different set of quilts or blankets or top sheets for each partner because your thermoregulation on each partner can be different. So it's still potentially the same bed, or it's potentially like, a king or like a split king. It's acknowledging that there's differences in thermoregulation on that versus like that your bed partner is something. So I like that. The other thing that I heard you say, Michelle, that I thought was really interesting, and I know this dovetails onto REM, is, it's interesting to know that your body's ability to regulate its temperature is lower during REM sleep because we also know that REM sleep is when you're actually more likely to be woken up too. Like your brain can get easily pulled out of sleep during REM as well, primarily because even though you're paralyzed, it's not necessarily sleep per se, if that kind of makes sense. So I think that's another interesting piece to kind of highlight too, that's kind of also happening. But to bring it back to the divorce part and the sleep divorce versus Scandinavian method, I think it's really important to not resent your bed partner for waking you up. Like, I don't think anyone intentionally goes to bed saying, "Oh, I can't wait to really like ruin who I'm in bed with. I can't wait to ruin their sleep for tonight." Like no one intentionally does that. But through lots of things, whether it's maybe snoring or maybe it's sleep apnea or maybe it's, frequent nighttime wake ups to use the restroom or maybe it's just shifting and turning in bed. Like lots of these things can 100% wake you up, and I think it's important to what I've never really liked about the sleep divorce kind of idea is I've never really liked the connotation of it. I do think that there's value to sleeping apart from your partner if there's specific reasons to do so. Like maybe, for example, one of you are sick and there's a lot of, nighttime coughing, or maybe one partner has to be propped up, really significantly, like, sleeping almost in a fully, sitting up kind of position. I mean, I think there can be valid reasons to sleep apart, but I think the idea of a sleep divorce is like, you know, I don't know. I think it's a little drastic. I also think people like things that sound really, dramatic at times. And and I think what that ties into is sometimes the desperation of people that have chronic insomnia. You're desperate for anything. And then divorce is a pretty, drastic choice in a lot of different ways. Um, and so I think those connotations of those things are not the best from my perspective. That's why I definitely would say try the Scandinavian method, try the 2 duvet system, the 2, quilt topper things. And we've even had this conversation before, Michelle, those hospital blankets, those seagull, that are kind of woven, but there's actually some space in between them, just cotton top blankets. Um, can actually be amazing from a thermoregulation perspective. Versus sometimes like duvets can be really, intense from that perspective. Um, so I definitely think that, there's a lot of value to this kind of Scandinavian approach before, you kick someone out and go permanently live in the guest room. I mean, what do you think, Michelle?
I think, in Florida, we talk a lot more just about the heat. And rather than, blasting heat or air conditioning, you can very easily use this type of Scandinavian method where it involves whether it's different clothing that you can take on or take off, layers, socks. It works both ways, whether it's hot or cold. Oftentimes, maybe you think that you need all these extra blankets and you maybe really just need to work on a natural fiber sheet. Or, like you said, it doesn't necessarily need to be something that covers your entire body if you really just need maybe the bottom half or the top half of your body. Um, warmed up or cooled down. So I think it's great, and it doesn't always involve temperature. It, like you said, it can involve noise, it can involve movement, and so maybe changing that mattress from the king size to the two twins so that you don't feel the movement of the other person can be another natural way to do it. Also, I just wanted to bring up that it doesn't just involve your nighttime. This could be for those short nap periods to make you the most efficient in terms of napping. A lot of people will lay down together with a partner or friend to take a nap. If you really need to nap, that space needs to be your own, and it might involve doing something a little bit differently. If someone wants to fall asleep listening to some music versus not falling asleep to music, you can, obviously look at that Bluetooth headband that we have for sale in our checkout area. Or some people will just wear earbuds for these little short naps. So it doesn't always assume it has to be for your full nighttime sleep. Your sleep is your own sleep, and you're going to find out how that works the best for you. And don't let these middle of the night frustration things ruin your next day either. Get out of bed and consider what you need to do. And remember, if you want to use our pre-ordering of the Sleep Takeout Clinical Coloring Book, keep it on your nightstand, keep it in the kitchen where you're kind of walking into the other room and trying it out. Do it.
I love it, Michelle. I'm so excited about the Sleep Takeout Coloring Book. It is going to be available in May of 2026. So it's super exciting. Like we're ready for it. And if relationship stress and insomnia are feeding into each other for you, let's talk. You can always go to my website, danielbaughn.com, click schedule a call, and mention Sleep Takeout for priority scheduling for that practice, for the therapy. Sleep well, everyone. Can't wait to see you guys the next time on Sleep Nation. Sleep Takeout. All right. Take care, guys.